If you can, I understand that sometimes we have life and things going on and we can't, but we want to see you. We want to engage with you. Hi, Jan. Great to see you. I love it. She's doing the thing while driving. That is dedication and commitment. We want to see you. We want to connect with you. We want to engage with you this week. What we have put together for you is deeply created from my heart, from our team's hearts for you, so that you can experience whatever your version of quantum sales growth is. And so I think just for fun to get kicked off, I would love, if you're here live, share in the chat, what would quantum sales growth look like for you right now? Like, what are you here for? What are you looking to call in? There's so much power, even in just declaring that, even in writing it down. You may already be really clear on what that is. Maybe you want to turn your annual income into your monthly income, which plenty of community members here have done. Maybe for you, it's like, gosh, I would love to land some amazing stages. I know we've got a lot of thought leaders in this community, people who want to build their brand and visibility. And you're like, there's some stages out there that I know my work needs to be featured on, and I know I need to be known throughout the world. Maybe it would look like getting clarity on some things right now, some goals, next steps, next direction. Wherever you are right now is beautiful, but I want to see for you, what would quantum sales growth look like right now? What are you calling in? What are you here for? So type it in the chat, and you sharing that and you witnessing it for yourself and then also witnessing it for others. There's already forward motion. There's already forward energy, movement that's going to happen by you just declaring that to the world. So let me see what everyone is sharing. If you're just coming on, welcome, welcome. We're asking you to share in the chat what quantum sales growth would look like for you right now and what you're here to create this week. Michelle, I love it. An abundance of incoming clients for me and my advisors. Amen. Beautiful. Jill, creating my first course and program. What a beautiful thing too, to get out into the world and to get created. I love that. 20K in next 30 days. Amen. It's done. It's done. I did a post on Instagram this morning about how money is everywhere and it's infinite. So maybe even go read that and connect with that, because it'll help, I think, just with the energy of calling in that 20K. Tomorrow at our event is going to be all about money. So I know probably everyone here is here because you want to call in more money, more abundance, more financial resources into your life. Everything we teach over the course of this week is going to be about that. But tomorrow we're going to dive deep into the energy of money, removing money blocks. It's going to be really, really powerful. Let me see what else. Karen, I'm done playing small. I'm ready to make huge growth. Oh, look at you. Oh my gosh. And I think I remember you when you came to the summit last year. I think you were here last year. This is our second annual for those of you where it's your first time. And just seeing what you've done and how much you've transformed and who you've become in the process, and to see you put that in the chat is so powerful. Abby, consistent 10K months. Yes. Ooh, my annual salary is my monthly one. It is doable. Anything anyone else has done, you can do. Jan, oh my gosh. All right. I'm not going to be able to read all of these. Let me quickly quit day job. Yes. Amen. Kelsey, landing a 500K size deal. Yes. Beautiful. Karen, grow my team, hit double sales. Carolina, 2 million in next 45 days. This is so beautiful. Yes, 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 yes. Scaling my business. Okay. This is amazing. I love this so much. And something that I have come to understand in my life is that your desires are green lights. So I want to just lay the foundation for all of you here. Your desires are green lights. So whatever it is that you wrote in that chat, that vision coming through, that is I'm spiritual. So you'll hear me use language like God, universe, spirit. That is the urge of God's spirit wanting to come through you for you to live out your fullest expression. And there is nothing wrong with you wanting more. I want to just lay that foundation here. There is nothing wrong with you wanting more. It is a double blessing. And I'll share a little bit of my story today and throughout the event. You'll hear stories from our community members as well as we go. And I want you to listen for the double blessing that came when someone said yes to going for their vision. When someone said yes, when they stopped doubting themselves, when they decided they were done playing small and they went all in. They went all in. So I just want to acknowledge you. And there's a two-step process to creation, but the first process is feeling it, right? And seeing it in your mind. So that piece is already done. And now this week, it's about who do you get to become? What beliefs do you get to hold and transform? What feelings do you get to start embodying? And what actions need to be taken for that to be your physical 3D reality? Now, we are not about hustle. We are not about burnout. So when I say action, we're going to talk more towards the end of this week about action and what that looks like. It's not more of the same of what you're already doing. I can tell you that there is a streamlined, elegant solution for you to experience whatever you just wrote down as quantum sales growth. 95 to 98% of it has to do with your self-concept, which is a lot of what we're talking about today. And then the action piece is 3 to 5% of it. Okay. But this is a really beautiful space for you to be in, to start calling that in and to start creating that. So if we have not connected yet, I'll briefly introduce myself now, and then I'll share a little bit more of my story in a minute. My name's Elise. I am the founder and CEO of She Sells and Superhuman Selling. I am also a wife. My husband is a full-time medical school student. So we are living that life over here. We've got 2 little boys, ages 4 and under. And my heart and my passion is helping you accomplish your goals and helping you get unstuck from any old ways of being, any old ways of thinking, any limiting amounts of money that don't feel supportive to you, any holding back from what you really desire in your life. Because one thing that I've really learned, and I'll share this in my story too, is to me, how I want to live my life today, and how I want to encourage each of you too, is to play full out and to stop playing small. And everything in my life transformed when I made that decision, because I was a woman who did play small for many, many years. And I stayed stuck because I did. So I'll share with you a little bit more about what happened and how I had my own first quantum leap. Before I do, I want to acknowledge my beautiful team. If you are a member of my team, can you raise your virtual hand, do the digital hand raise so that you bump up to the front of the queue with faces on here? I want everyone to see you. Beautiful. All right. You can't. You all know how to do that. Raise your. Okay. There you go. That's okay. And so you'll see some of them in as Elise Archer. They're also my team. But my team here, I want to acknowledge them because these currently all women, although we're adding men onto the team, which I'm so excited for. These women make the world go round. They are phenomenal. They are living, breathing in this material every single day. And so I just want to say thank you to them. You will hear from them throughout the week. Each of you on this summit has also been assigned a success advisor. This person is here to help you throughout the course of the week, to help you with answering questions on anything that comes up, to help you with manifesting your goals and your vision. These people have done anything from double to 10x their income in this material. You want to talk to them. You want to find out how they did it. So when they reach out to you, respond, book a call with them, set some time. They're here to chat with you. They want to hear, they're here to support you, hear about your vision, your goals, what it is that you're looking to create in your life, and to help you understand how you can get there. So you want to be in their energy. You want to understand how they did it. They've opened their calendars this week to connect with you. So it's a really beautiful opportunity and experience. And you want to make sure to take advantage of being in that energy and being in that space. So with that, I want to lay the foundation for today with how I view quantum sales growth. To me, and those of you who are in our programs know this, I do not like SMART goals. Anyone who is like, hey, Elise, I want you to come train the team on SMART goals. Don't, I'm not your girl. Realistic, we don't do it. Not in my vocabulary. Quantum sales growth, to me, is about doing things that are beyond the ordinary. It's about doing things. And I'm seeing some women on this call right now, members of our community who have done things like 16x their income in 1 month, have their first $350,000 sales month, do things that most people would say are not possible. You will hear from them this week. Now, one of the things that I will say with quantum sales growth is that I used to set goals based on proving myself. And I would say, if I can earn this amount, then I'll be successful, then I'll be good enough, then I'll be validated by other people. Can anyone relate to that? Give me a head nod or a hand raise or a yes in the chat if you can relate to that. Carolina is saying guilty. We're conditioned, right? We're conditioned that, and that's taught to us. And so that's how I set goals for so much of my life. But what I care about when I talk about you experiencing quantum sales growth is you tapping into that fullest expression of you, whatever that is, not for anyone else. The way I think about it is like, if you were living on an island and no one was going to know, what sort of life would you love to experience? What sort of home would you love to live in? What sort of car would you like to drive? What kind of impact would you love to have on the world? How much money would you love to be flowing in your life? And again, tomorrow we'll talk about money as a tool. It is the way of your goal. It is not your end goal. So there's a lot of kind of nuances with money and the energy of money that will get it to flow more easily in your life. But I used to set goals based on proving myself and trying to look good to other people, which all came from an energy of lack and not enoughness. So with that, I'll share just a little bit of my backstory. Before I came into this and built this company and did this, I was someone who I would say checked a lot of the boxes in her life. Let me know how many of you can relate to that, where you're like, okay, here's the path to success, right? Cindy's raising her hand like, oh my gosh, yes. Checked a lot of the boxes. So I went to school, I got the college degree. I actually thought I was going to go into journalism because I loved that. But then I found out how much money you make as a journalist. And even as an 18-year-old, I was like, ugh, I don't think that's going to support my shoe habit. So I need to go into sales. So I went into sales. And in my late 20s, I found myself having done everything I thought I was supposed to do to be happy, to be successful. I was top of the leaderboard or close to top of the leaderboard at work almost all the time. Making six figures in my corporate job. I had a nice house. I had a nice car. And outwardly, I was presenting like I was living my dream life. But inwardly, there was a huge gap between how I was showing up to people and how I was actually feeling inside. Inwardly, I was struggling with an eating disorder and really terrible body image and self-image. I had anxiety. I had panic attacks. I was in a marriage that was really unhealthy. Now, we were just a vibrational match to each other, so I get that now and I acknowledge that now, but it wasn't good. I'll just put it that way. And I kind of looked around one day at the life I had built, and I was like, it can't go on like this. Now, some of you may be in a space where there's that much contrast, where you're like, oh my gosh, there has to be a big change. Maybe it's not that much contrast. Maybe it's more like things are good, but I'm ready for great, right? So wherever you are, I think you'll be able to relate to the story. But so from that point, I decided to go on a journey of radical transformation. And it was scary. And I left the corporate job. I knew I wanted to go into coaching. I had one client who had paid me $300 to review a presentation for him. And I was like, it's proof of concept. I can make money outside of corporate. I'm out. Now, not everyone would have that same risk tolerance. I'm not saying you need to do that, but I knew I had to kind of give myself a big kick in the seat to get out. I left the marriage. I was terrified of what sort of judgment I thought I would get for being divorced in my 20s. I changed a lot of things in my friends circle. I had been like the party person, the most fun, like you wanted to go out with me. I had fun. But I just found that there was so much of my life that wasn't aligned. And I went on a radical journey of transformation personal development and trying to find out who I really was inside. And along the way, I met the person who is now my husband, the father of my two children, which is a beautiful relationship. I launched my own company, and a lot of things shifted and transformed in my life, which was really beautiful. This is about 10 years ago. And no, I'm sorry, this is probably more like, it was 10 years ago, but I'm going to tell you part of the story that happened about 6 years into that. So I went from having created a life that was not like me to realigning my life to something that felt more alive, more aligned. And yet there was still this one problem. And even after I made all those changes, and even after I had transformed, I healed the eating disorder, changed a lot of things in terms of self-concept and self-esteem. No matter how hard I worked, I could not seem to break through a certain income threshold. And for me, it was 6 figures. And so I went from earning 6 figures in corporate to earning 6 figures as an entrepreneur. And I worked all the time. And I was fine with that up until a point. But then I became a mom. And like I said, no matter how hard I worked, I felt like I was always making the same. And I also was really hiding in my life. I remember there was a moment, this was about 4 years ago, when our first son, Jack, was just a couple months old. And I was sitting in the nursery with him late night, and I was nursing him. And what I have learned from my fellow parents out there is when you're up late feeding the baby, you've got one of two options, right? You can doom scroll, which I had done a little bit of, or you can read something enlightening. And so I was reading a book by Bronnie Ware called The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying. Has anyone on here read it? I know some of you have, because I've talked to you about it. If you have not, go get this book. So Bronnie, for those of you who aren't familiar, she was a hospice care worker, and she sat with people on their deathbed. And she said that right before people left this earth, they shared 5 of the most common regrets. They all shared 5 common regrets. And the number one regret that people shared was, I wish I had had the courage to live a life true to me rather than what everyone else expected of me. I wish I had had the courage to live a life true to me rather than what everyone else expected of me. Now, when I read that, it was a real wake-up call to me. And again, I was further along in my journey than I had been. Like, I'd gotten out of a lot of the kind of intense emotional issues of my 20s. And I had built up a life that was good in many ways. But there was something far greater on my soul that was calling for more. And I don't know if any of you can relate to that. Let me know if you can, if this is kind of where you are right now, or if you can understand. But again, I was stuck financially. I was always earning the same amount of money. I had a much bigger vision and goal for my life. I saw myself at this point as someone who was speaking on big stages. I saw myself as being an author. I saw myself as someone who made way more money than I was making. And I had visions of being able to do things like retire my husband, who at the time was a night shift respiratory therapist, which is not a great schedule to be working with a 4-month-old at home. And we've got a lot of healthcare, former healthcare providers in this community. So shout out to all of you, because I know the schedule and the hours are insane, and what you do is very important. I also know how grueling it can be. And so we were in that grind, and I wanted to have the financial capacity to retire him so he could pursue his dream of medical school. I wanted to be way more visible in my brand and with my business. I'd partnered with a group of people who were absolutely some of my dearest friends to this day. I love and adore them, but I was hiding behind them, if I'm being honest. I was in more of a supporting role than a leadership role, the leadership role I knew that I could be in. And so I made a decision when I read that I didn't care what it took. I didn't care how hard it was. I didn't care how long it took. that I was done playing small, that I was done doing what I now call putting my life on layaway. And I realized in that moment that I had been waiting for someone to come tell me that I was good enough or that it was time. How many of you can relate to that? Where like you've got this vision and this goal and this dream, and yet you just haven't given yourself permission to go full out for it. And what I realized in that moment was no one is coming to tell you that you're good enough. No one is coming to tell you that it's time. Your outer world is just going to mirror to you how you're feeling about yourself. So if you're waiting for money to come in to tell you that you are abundant or successful, you're going to be waiting a long time. If you're waiting for your first client to come in to tell you that you're validated and that your programs are good, you're going to be waiting a long time. Jill is saying, I always needed others' approval in order to take the leap. There is a very different energy behind people who really achieve big things in the world versus those who don't, which is I was the former before, which is ones who achieve big things in the world. They don't look anywhere for permission. They don't look anywhere for validation. They look to themselves when making decisions. They follow their gut. They follow their instincts. They validate themselves. This is a very important shift that you can make because most of us have been trained and conditioned. Oh, let me look outside for someone to tell me what I can do. Can I take this action? Should I do this? Should I invest in this course? Should I move here? You are the only one who can give yourself that permission. And you are the only one who has to live your life. And so I made that decision in that moment that I was done playing small. I'd also had a dear friend of mine pass away really unexpectedly in his sleep at age 39, right before that. And I was like, I don't know how much longer I have. I hope I have a lot longer, right? That's my intention. I'm calling that in, but I was like, I don't know how much longer I have. And I don't want to wait and put my life on layaway anymore. So I was like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to start showing up as the woman who has the life I desire, who earns seven figures, who lives in the type of house I want to live in, who has the financial capacity to retire my husband, to do the things I've been saying I want to do, to give generously. And long story short, because we have a lot I want to cover today, I ended up having an opportunity to invest in myself in coaching in a way that felt extremely uncomfortable. Extremely uncomfortable. I'd made six figures the year before. It was a $50,000 investment for 6 months. Now, financially, the math on that probably doesn't make a lot of sense. But what I had learned and studied, and some of what I'll teach you all about this week as well, is embodiment. And I knew that if I wanted to become the woman who had the life I wanted, I needed to start investing in myself in that way and showing up as that version of me. So petrified, thought, what am I doing? I'm the breadwinner in our family. I'm putting us in financial jeopardy. But my intuitive knowing was that I had to do it to get so far out of my comfort zone that I would finally look at all the limiting beliefs I've been holding on to about who I was, what I was capable of, how money worked in my life. And I'd get so rattled and shook out of my cage that I had to change it. And so I did it. And I jumped head in, and I went into a period, an intense period of examining every limiting belief I'd ever held. I went deep down the rabbit hole of neuroscience, quantum physics, how it affects our results, our self-concept, energy of money, universal laws, spiritual law. It was intense. But in 6 weeks from making that decision, I turned my annual income into my monthly income. I was able to do the things that I've now been able to do in my life, build the company, hire an amazing team who are here today, who I love and adore, create salaries for other people, create transformation in the lives of clients around the world, retire my husband so he can pursue his dream, give very generously to causes that we care about and support. And so what I'm going to be teaching you over the course of this week, and you'll hear it more through my story and through other clients' stories as well, is what shifted in that 6-week period to go from having been stuck, struggling with limiting money beliefs, limiting self-concept, anxiety around money and success and all of it, to suddenly changing and creating the life that had been on my vision board for so long. So are we all in? Are we excited? Are we ready to roll? Let me just check in the chat. Jill, Vin, no one is coming to tell me that I'm good enough. Yep, exactly. Exactly. Freeing myself from perfectionism. I love it. Yes, perfectionism keeps you poor. We want to take bold action, and it will get figured out as you go. This is this is how successful people do it. Oh, Kelsey, it's a hell yes for me. I love it. And what I love too is seeing those of you who are in here in our programs in the community and knowing that you're doing it, right? Getting to be with you on that journey. It's so beautiful. Cindy's saying, thank you for taking that leap. Absolutely. So beautiful. And yeah, and so I'm going to show you the path this week. Ultimately, you are the only one who can give yourself that permission. So you're the one who's got to do it for yourself. But I'm going to show you the path. And so what we teach in our community, and this really downloaded after that happened because I looked at my own experience and I was like, what happened that things changed so fast? And I actually worked less. It was less action in that time, which was crazy. It was fewer hours. It was less action. I reduced my workload probably half in terms of what I was doing. And this model downloaded that we now teach in our programs called the 4 quadrants of quantum sales growth. And so that's what you're going to learn this week. Every day, today through Thursday, I'm going to be teaching one of them at a high level. And then Friday, we're going to have more of an open day, open coaching, interaction, VIP day. So today's going to be beautiful, and every single day is going to be beautiful. I'll share a little bit of the foundation for today. I'm going to do some teaching around the first quadrant. We're going to do a beautiful client interview as well, so you can hear from someone else who's used this material to Quantum Leap. And then we'll talk about what's coming tomorrow as well. But to kind of lay the foundation, one thing that I say frequently in our community is sales is the Trojan horse of what we teach. So many of you are here this week because you want a great sales strategy. All right. I've seen that in some of your feedback. I've seen that in the Facebook group. We love strategy. We're great at strategy. I have taught and coached and mentored over the course of, close to 20 years now, if you include my own personal sales experience, virtually every industry, B2B, B2C, e-commerce, service-based businesses. I mean, you name it. I've done it, sold it, taught it, trained it. We're great at strategy. And like I said at the beginning, your actual quantum leap is an inner shift. It's based on your self-concept. It's based on your identity. So a lot of people come in because they think I need a better sales strategy. That may be the case. What you most likely need is an identity shift. And we're going to talk about that more today because your results will never supersede your identity. This is why 2 people can implement the exact same strategy. One person crushes it, has amazing results. The other person is like, why isn't it working for me? Right? Those of you who are in corporate, you know, everyone has kind of the same sales process. There are certain people who are always top of the leaderboard, certain people middle, certain people bottom. Why do you think that is? It's their self-concept. Entrepreneurs, who are my entrepreneurs in the group? Raise your hand or give me a shout out. You see other entrepreneurs in your space. Some of them are doing great and you're like, oh my gosh, how are they doing it? Others not. Strategies are universal. It's their identity. It's their self-concept. So we help you quantum leap your sales, but we do it differently than you've probably been taught before and then you've probably experienced before. So every day you're going to have teaching and live interaction here in the group. There is also daily homework to help you go deeper. Now we have a Facebook community that comes along with the summit. Can a member of my team put the Facebook community link in the chat? And by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching the live stream, get registered for the event and join the Facebook group because that's how you have the opportunity to get bonuses and get all the materials and resources for us. So if you're watching on YouTube and you're not registered, it's elisearcher.com/salessummit24. But once you're registered, you want to get in the Facebook group. We are doing a bonus drawing on Friday for someone to win a 30-minute private coaching call with me. To be entered in that drawing, you need to be live daily, not just on the YouTube. You need to be live in the Zoom. Live, you need to be in the Facebook group, and you need to be doing the homework and sharing it in the Facebook group daily. They will also take into account who's sharing, who's sharing their experience on social most. And so on Friday, we will do the prize drawing. Any other options for non-Facebook users? Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. Team, get with Colleen, help her on that. I don't use Facebook a ton except for our community group. I'll be honest, like that's the only time I'm in there. But team, get with Colleen and we'll connect with you on that. If you're not on Facebook, I feel like you could probably email in the homework. Let's just do that. Let's just make an executive decision. Email in the homework. It's all good. We'll make that option work too. But if you're on Facebook, join the community because it's fun. So with that, oh, and then some people have been asking about our programs. We will share more about that Thursday, probably. So I want to just teach today, next couple of days. I want to teach, I want to pour into you. But towards the end of the week, we'll share a little bit more about our programs and opportunities to get involved if you would like to. So with that, let's talk about these 4 quadrants, what they are, and then we're going to dive into a little bit more for today. I do not have a lot of slides for this event. I'm going to show you a couple of things because I think there's helpful visuals on a few. So there we go. Can you see that okay? We good? Yeah. Okay, awesome. So 4 quadrants of quantum sales growth. How in the world does someone go from stuck and struggling for over a decade at the same level to suddenly 10xing? We call these the 4 M's. It's designed to make it easy for you to remember. The first one is mind over matter. That's what we're talking about today. I'm not going to spend any time there right now. I'm going to dive into it in just a minute. The second one is money. This is what we're talking about tomorrow. The energy of money, wealth consciousness, how to elevate your financial thermostat, whether you want to have your first 10K month, 100K month, $1 million month. It's a level of frequency. It's a vibration. It's a feeling. It's a being. We're going to talk tomorrow about how to connect with that and also how to release any old limiting money blocks that are holding you back. Quadrant 3, which is going to be Wednesday, masculine and feminine energy. This is how I was able to bring in so much more money, but do it working less. I had no idea how to incorporate feminine energy into my sales process. When I learned it, I went from hustling, working so hard all the time, like that grind energy. Maybe some of you can relate to that. Maybe you're there right now, to things feeling like they were flowing, to feeling like an attractor, to feeling like I was taking action that was maybe a little bit stretchy and outside my comfort zone, but it wasn't hustle and grind. Now, with masculine and feminine, I don't mean male or female. So I want to acknowledge the men on this call. We love you. We're so glad you're here. Sometimes men will ask, can I join your calls? Like, can we be in on this? Yes, 100%. We all have both types of energy in us. And in fact, side note on that, we're actually rolling out a program for men, which we'll talk about later this week as well, which I'm really excited about. But this piece here, this quadrant, is not male or female. It's finding that blend between the being and the doing that's going to help you quantum leap. And then the 4th quadrant is the method. This is the strategy piece. Now, if you look at it from a standpoint of what actually matters, what moves your results, those first 3, we call the big 3. So mind over matter, money, and masculine and feminine energy. According to neuroscience, 95 to 98% of your results comes from your self-concept, comes from how you view yourself, comes from your belief systems, comes from who you are being. And then only 2 to 5% is the actual strategy that you're taking. So that's how we organize our training and our programs. And I just want to lay that foundation for all of you today as we go into the week. But let's take a couple minutes here and let's talk about mind over matter. And I want to teach you a couple of core things before we do our client interview. Let me just check here in the chat. Are we good? Oh, Abby's saying you're sick of perfectionism. Yes, be done with it. You can't achieve the goals you want to achieve and be stuck in perfectionism. You absolutely can't. The two do not coexist. So we're going to talk a little bit today about identity, and I would focus on making part of your identity. I am a woman who moves forward boldly towards her goals, who is willing to try things, who puts herself out there, who's willing to take risks. That is one of the most important elements of self-concept if you're looking to really ascend and quantum leap. So mind over matter. what are we taught when it comes to mind over matter? What are we taught that it means? You can type it in the chat. Um, it's like, to me, what I was always taught was it doesn't matter how you feel, just push forward anyway, right? Kind of like, don't worry about how you feel. Kat saying push harder. Exactly. I can keep moving even if I feel tired. Yeah, which is true, which I will say is true. Like there are seasons of push. We are in a season as a company right now for the next month where it's like every week there's something really big going on. Um, and the energy in which you do a thing determines the outcome of a thing. So if you are taking action from a place of, oh, I feel disconnected from my goals, or this feels really hard and heavy, but I'm just going to push through, you're not going to get the results you're looking for. We'll talk about that more on Wednesday and why that is. Carolina, focus on the discipline piece, not energy. Exactly, which is the masculine without any of the feminine. You will never quantum leap from pure masculine energy. You can't do it. It's too logical. It's too linear. It won't happen. So when I say mind over matter, what I mean by that is how your mind, your belief systems, your identity, your self-concept influences the physical 3D matter in your life. Who your clients are, how they show up for you, opportunities that flow in, what's in your bank account, the house you live in, the car you drive, the checks you write to charities you care about. That's what I mean. That's what I mean. So this quadrant is all about subconscious reprogramming. It's about identity, self-concept work. It's about your belief systems. It's about, we actually have a beautiful teaching in our signature program, which is the 10K Club, called The Magic of Alignment. And I go deep in there into how to align with what you desire. Because the key, and sometimes this is where sometimes people will get it tripped up, is they'll feel called to do something. They'll feel called to take an action in their business or in their sales. But then they'll say, oh, that doesn't feel aligned. That doesn't feel aligned. Well, aligned to what? Because the old version of you, who you're currently aligned to, who's getting the results you're getting, no, it doesn't feel aligned because it's way out of the comfort zone. So you have to start asking different questions, and you have to actually create the identity and the self-concept of a person who has the results you want. And then from there, ask what would be aligned for them. What would they do? That's why I had to convince myself, but I convinced myself to invest $50,000 in coaching when I'd made 100 grand the whole year before. That was maybe not aligned for the version of me who had made 6 figures, but for a woman who made 7, knowing that you should invest 5 to 10% of what you want to make in coaching and personal development, I was like, yeah, it makes sense. So it was aligned to her. So I became her in that process. Does that make sense? So this is about alignment. This is also about universal laws. So knowing and leveraging universal laws like the law of cause and effect. We are always causing some sort of an effect. There's always a cause to the effects in your life. The vacuum law of prosperity. You need to create space for the good that you desire. The law of relativity. Nothing is big or small. It just is. And you can play with that a lot with money goals too, which is really fun. The law of vibration, the law of perpetual transmutation of energy. So we have tons and tons of training in our material and in our curriculum on universal laws. What I want to teach to you today are 2 different components of mind over matter. And so the first is understanding the difference between a universal truth and a personal truth. A universal truth versus a personal truth. So I want you to think about that goal that you wrote down at the beginning when I said, what would quantum sales growth look like for you? And what would that number be? For a lot of you, it's a number. For some of you, it's launching something. And I want you to pay attention now to what does the voice in your head tell you about why that's too big, why that's not possible. Ooh, can I do it? Who in here has some thoughts? Like, this is real talk, being honest. There's some thoughts in your head that are like, oh, I think if you're stretching enough, there's always initially going to be some thoughts of like, ooh, is that really possible? Right? So here's the key though. Just because you think a thought, it doesn't mean it's true. And I used to buy into my limiting beliefs. Now, we're not going to do a deep dive about this today, but from the ages of 0 to 7, you are being programmed. Your mind is wide open. You are a giant walking subconscious mind. And so whatever you hear anyone say, your brain takes in as truth. It develops a program around it. It develops a belief system around it. So let's say that you hear money is the root of all evil. Who here heard that growing up? Or rich people are greedy. What else did we hear? Little boys don't cry. Little girls should be seen and not heard. You take that in as truth. That then becomes your operating system. The whole job of your subconscious mind is to make whatever the programs are a reality. Let me see what people are saying. Carolina, more money, more problems. Hannah, I'm so glad you're here. I love you. Financial freedom is a myth. Yep, boom. So your subconscious will automatically tell you it's not possible. Laura, I don't have enough time to get there. And y'all have maybe heard me talk about this on calls before, but time scarcity is money scarcity. So if you're feeling like you don't have enough time, that's also limiting the flow of money in your life. It's not humble, have more money. Money doesn't grow on trees. Life is, yes. So all of these things, right? You were programmed with them. You were programmed with them. Does not mean they are true. So it is a very defining moment in your life when you start thinking for yourself. Who is it? Kelsey, was it you and I who were having this conversation last week about question everything you've ever been taught in life? Yeah. When you start questioning everything that you believe to be true. So there are some things on the planet that are universal truths. Example, law of gravity. We all get to play by it. It doesn't matter what part of the world you're in. You got to work with the rules. If you jump off a building, you're going to fall. All right. However, let's say that someone wanted to make $1 million, but they had a belief that $1 million is hard to make. Who in here has that belief right now? Just honest, like, oh, it would be hard to make $1 million. Thank you for the honesty. So those of you who were at our July event, our July live event here in Portland, I taught a segment called Lessons from a Billionaire, which was really fun. So back in, oh my gosh, when was it? April? I got to fly out to California and work with a client who's a billionaire. This particular person flows about $20 million a day in his company. Do you think that he thinks it's hard to make $1 million? He does it just about every hour on the hour. Some days it's 40 million. Yeah. So is it universally true for everyone on the planet that it is hard to make $1 million? No, it's not, right? You may have bought into it that it is true. Whatever you believe to be true will feel true for you. So if you think it's hard, then yeah, your experience is going to be it's hard. Yeah. And I tell you, that volume of money will create a beautiful life for you. I was like, man, y'all are doing it right. Like the most beautiful life and lifestyle and really wonderful people as well. Really, really beautiful people. But so you have to start to question, is this thing that I'm thinking that this is going to be hard, or that this is a lot to invest in myself, or that I can't recruit a team, or I can't be a good leader? Is that universally true? And if not, what beliefs would I need to adopt in order to have the results that I want? So for someone who has accomplished the goal I want to accomplish, what belief would I need to hold? Does that make sense? So I'm going to teach you part 2 in a minute. I think what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick client spotlight, because I want to showcase this beautiful soul because she has really embodied this work. And then I'm going to teach you the other part of Mind Over Matter for today, because it's going to tie in with that. And it's also going to tie in with the homework for today. Thank you, Kat, for popping that in the chat. Yeah. We have to start thinking for ourselves. Cindy, where are you, beautiful? You want to come off mute and say hi? Cindy is our wonderful client interview for today. You're amazing. How are you? I'm so happy to see you.
Thank you. I'm doing well.
Oh my
Great
God.
to be here.
Yes. Well, what's so fun about this, and I love to just spotlight people who are in our community who are doing amazing things at our live events, because I think it's one thing to hear Elisa's story, okay, she did it, but what about others, right? And I think that's really powerful. And what we're seeing in the community and in the collective is that there are people who are coming in and surpassing what I did. You'll hear from one of them this week too, which is really, really beautiful. Cindy, you and I connected earlier this year. So you haven't even been in the community a full year yet, but seeing what you have done and seeing how you have taken the reins in your life and the transformation that you've created, I think is so inspiring and so beautiful. And so let's just chat for like 5 minutes. I'd love for you to share a little bit more about, maybe you can start by introducing yourself and who you are and like where were you before you came into this community and what was going on in your life? Let's start there.
Well, hello. Thank you for this opportunity. I am a cycle breaker coach and I use the adult chair model. And what I do is I help break mostly couples and individuals just break cycles and patterns that don't serve them anymore. So I had been doing this module one work for years through my coaching program. And little did I know that when I met you at the end of March, there was more work to do. But who I am, I'm a mom of three. I'm a grandmama. And when I had met you in March, at the end of March, I believe it was the very end, like March 26th, you said, is anybody planning on moving? And I raised my hand and I said, yes, me.
Yeah.
So I just implemented one thing that you had said to do, and I saw results.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll have you speak. So this is so beautiful because we connected in March and I think you like dove in and you were, I think, deep in a lot of the free material first on YouTube, right? And then was it?
Yes. I gobbled
Yeah.
up everything for free that you
Yeah.
had. I have folders everywhere, and you're very generous with your material. And like I said, I just started implementing what you said as my coach.
Yeah.
And I started seeing the results before my eyes. So that just was the next illuminated step.
I love
So,
it. And you came in, so you came into 10K Club, I think in June,
June
right?
1st.
You invested in
Yeah.
us, got in the community. Tell everyone a little bit about what have you done? Because I love seeing your posts in the Facebook group and seeing, and I remember when I asked, is anyone wanting to move? I just had this intuitive nudge at the time. I was like, there's someone who wants to move on this call. I don't know who it is. I love that it was you, but I know that you have completely, you've changed your life in so many ways. So maybe share with the group a little bit about just some of what you've done in a short amount of time with this material.
Very, very short amount of time. So I thought I would do it. This was how I thought I was going to do it. This was my goal. Move to Florida because I have my granddaughter and my two kids are here. So I'm going to sell the house, right? Pack up 30 years of stuff, sell the house, get the nursing license in Florida, right? I'm going to start working as a nurse and then I'm going to buy like a 4-unit apartment building. And then I'm going to live there for a while because I actually moved in with my son. So I was going to get the nursing license, get the apartment building, work for several years, and then hopefully I'd be able to be on the ocean, an ocean home. That's always been my childhood dream. My dad used to say, when I retire, I'm going to sell beach towels on the beach. So here I am. But anyway, well, God has a sense of humor because I still don't have that nursing license. And I moved July 8th, I think. And I am sitting in my beautiful beach house, 2 minutes from, I'm 7 houses from the ocean.
Wow.
And yeah, so I can tell you how I did it.
Let me ask you this because this is so beautiful. Was it through hustle and force and push?
No, not absolutely
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
No.
How maybe give, because I know we don't have like, we don't have a ton of time, but maybe give like one thing that really helped you because you've collapsed timelines with this, right? This is a goal that a lot of people would say, oh, it would take way longer to do that.
Right.
You
The
collapse
number
time.
one thing I would have to say is there's two. The number one is how far down the road can you see? When you get in your car to go leave wherever you are today, how far down that road can you see?
Mm.
You can't see all the way. You can only see so far down the bend. So that was what I kept saying to myself. And then number two, which was a challenge, those around you, I kept saying, you don't get to know how. You don't. I don't get to know how. And this is where faith comes in. You know, my word is God. So you don't get to know how. You get to know when. I will be out in 90 days. I told my roommates that. So that was very difficult. They wanted to know when, how, what. And I just kept the vision of no, I don't even, it's none of my business how. So I kept that. Those were the two things. And like I said, I would just see those illuminated. There was a sign and there was another sign. I mean, literal signs blinking. And I just was like, thank you. And that would be the third, would be gratitude. Just thank you. Thank you.
Yes. It's so beautiful. And I remember you shared in our 10K Club Facebook group when you moved into the first place, because you upgraded your beach house, but the first place there was a sign that literally said, see, what was it? She sells seashells, right?
Correct. And I didn't even see that until I woke up the next morning and it was on the wall. And
Oh
then there
my
was some
gosh.
drama about the garage. So I ended up moving again. And because God was like, wait a minute, Cindy, your vision, which I had forgotten, was to have clients and collaborations out on my patio. Well, I have two patios now. Beautiful gardens. I have two patios. So there's room for yoga or retreats or I don't know. That's my next goal.
So good. I love it. I love it. And it's going to be fun because next week you're going to be with us here in Portland at the live event. And so I'm going to get to interview you in person a little bit more. And one thing I want to say that Cindy said that I think is so important that ties in with this first quadrant is you do not need to know how. This is so critical. If your brain is telling you that you need to know how you're going to make the money, accomplish the goal, launch the business, skyrocket to top of the leaderboard, you don't. It is all identity and self-concept work first. So once you can get your subconscious mind to accept the belief, to accept the program that this is who you are, this is how you operate, this is how you be, this is how much money flows in every single month consistently for you, no matter what. Its whole job is then to give you the how. But if you think you need to figure out the how first from your present state of consciousness, which is not aligned, you're doing it backwards and it's going to feel hard. You're going to feel stuck. You're going to feel like you're pushing. So this is the missing link. It's one of the missing links for any of you who are like, man, I've been working towards a goal for a long time and it feels like it's a long time coming, or I feel stuck, or it's feeling hard. So Cindy, I love you. Thank you for sharing your story. And I know that this is just the beginning for you as well. So I'm so excited to see how you continue to quantum leap and just living out that fullest expression of you. So thank you for that.
Thank you, everybody, for the opportunity. It's wonderful.
Absolutely. Andrew, not needing a how is huge. Yes, exactly. You do not need to know how. I have not known the how of anything that I've done in the past 4 years. But it has been deciding, claiming, doing the work that we were teaching this week and that we teach in our programs, and then being willing to get out of my comfort zone and start embodying a new version of me. So with that, let me show you, I want to share the homework for tonight. I do have a visual for this so that you can see what it is. Let me grab it for you real quick here. Hold on. Boom, let me go back here. Okay. So let me share my screen. And I'm actually going to give you, there's a tiny preview of one of the exercises we do with our clients in our program. So can you all see? Okay, good. That's pulling up. All right. So there's a couple different steps to this. And so to be entered in the giveaway drawing for the private coaching call on Friday, you do need to do the homework, submit it in the Facebook group, ideally, or if you're not on Facebook, send it as an email. We'll do that too. But so the first step is I want you to get clear on what do you want? The way that I think about it is if there were no consequences or limitations, what would you love? So you can think about it. I would say you can do one or both of these. Either is fine, either will count towards the drawing. For some of you, it may feel better to do next 12 months, so like a more expansive timeline. For others, it may be, no, I want to call this in before the end of the year. Like I've got a goal that I wrote down this morning where I was like, I'm calling this in before the end of the year. Like, let's just, again, you're going to hear from so many people who collapse timelines. And it's 100% doable when you approach your goals this way. So what do you want? Now, here's the key. You heard me say this before, and this is so important. Your results will never supersede your identity. So in life, in business, in sales, in money, you do not get what you want, you get what you are. This is why for many years of my life, I would make a vision board. I'm curious who in here can relate to this. I would make a vision board and I would look at it and it would have a certain amount of money on it. It would have a certain kind of car on it. It would have a certain type of maybe trip on it. And I would sit there and look at it and I would feel, okay, where is it? I'd feel frustrated. I'd feel lack. I would feel disappointed. At some point I would say, oh, it's just not meant to be. Who here can relate to that? And I'm gonna throw in the towel on my dreams. Absolutely not. But the key is I wasn't focusing on being the woman who had those things. So one of the first things we have our clients do when they come into our community is an exercise called New Personality, Old Personality. And I'm going to have you all do it tonight. And this is incredibly powerful. Now, I do mine on a spreadsheet, like very, very sexy. You can do that. You can do it on a note. You can do it on a Word doc, does not matter. But essentially what you're going to do is you're going to have two different columns on a piece of paper. One is going to be new personality. The other is going to be old personality. And then you're going to have sections for thoughts, feelings, and actions under each. And what you're going to do is pick your goal, whether it's your next 12 months goal, whether it's end of this year goal. And then I want you to start thinking about who is the person who has that? What thoughts are they thinking? What feelings are they feeling? And what sort of actions are they taking? Okay. Then with lots of self-love, no judgment, just healthy awareness, we're going to look at who you've been being up until this point that is not in alignment with the person who has your result. And you're going to write out, what thoughts am I thinking right now that I wouldn't be thinking from that standpoint? Maybe I'm thinking, maybe I want to make $1 million. And I'm like, current thoughts I'm thinking are, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills. Or I don't know where the money is. Where's the money? I don't see it in the bank account. That's a thought that's holding you back from what you want. You're going to write it down. You're going to become aware of it. Then you're going to notice what feelings am I living in on a regular basis that I wouldn't be feeling from there. Maybe it's self-doubt. Maybe it's anxiety. Maybe it's some sort of fear. But what feeling state? Our bodies actually get conditioned to certain feeling states and they feel like us. It just feels normal. It feels like you. But you can recondition your body to a different emotional state. And what's powerful about this, and this is why we work with our clients on a lot of embodiment right away, is neurologically, you can only think to the level of your emotional state. So if you're trying to go and have your first 100K month, but you're doing it from a state of feeling lack or limitation, the thoughts you think in that emotional state are only going to equal lack and limitation. You're not going to have thoughts that are going to get you to where you want to go. So we actually want to recondition our bodies to feel a different way. So right now we just want to identify what feelings would I feel? Or what feelings am I feeling now that aren't in alignment with what I would feel there? And then the final piece is what actions am I taking right now that I would not be taking from that place? Now, this could mean inaction. It could mean procrastination. It could mean doing my own laundry when really I'd probably be hiring someone to do my laundry. And we just want to become aware of the gap. So that's the work. And so what you're going to do, so you're going to connect with your goals. Then you're going to map out new personality, old personality. And then I want you to select. Now this says 3 to 5. I would honestly say 1. You can do 3 to 5 if you want. But 1 to 5 will kind of expand the scope where you're like, I'm going to change that now. And I'm going to practice being that now, and sharing the group what it is. And then we're here to help support you in that as well. So I know it's right at 2:00. Tomorrow is all about money, the energy of money, releasing money blocks, wealth consciousness, aligning with the new financial frequency. It is going to be phenomenal. It's same time, same place. Again, connect with your success advisor. We are here to help. My team is here to help. We love you. We appreciate you. Cannot wait to dive in to all things money with you tomorrow. Lots of love, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.